Oh man, I
man.
haven't brothered in a long time. Holy crap. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Dodgeball podcast. This one featuring Allan Stott out of Arizona. Very much looking forward to this one and hope you enjoy. Alrighty, well I've got Allan Stott with me here. Allan, trying to cut back on my crazy introduction, so I'll just ask, what team do you play for? Let's start there.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, first of all, for having me for this interview, Steve Damon. I am Allan Stott, and I play for Rise of Brutality, Open Division in the Elite Championships. I also play for Havoc, co-ed, as well in the Elite Championships.
Nice. And I mean, that doesn't even come close to like summing it all up. I mean, I've known you for what, almost 10 years now, 9 years. Holy crap.
It's getting close.
Yeah. Wow. I just realized how old I am. So, just to give some history. So I just remember meeting you. I think it was like a Grand Canyon State Games event in 2008 or 9. I almost want to say 9.
2009, probably.
Yeah, and you had just come in from Gilbert, some kind of I don't even know, like you just appeared, like it was so weird. I remember. Oh no, it was 2008. Holy crap, dude! It's already been almost 10 years. It was 2008. I just got back from basic training with the Air Force, and I went to this one Grand Canyon State Games, kind of like a tag along at this point. And I just remember talking to you at one of like the it was like Carly. Well, I forgot the answer. Carlos O'Brien's. There we go. Do you remember that by chance?
Carlos O'Brien's.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would have been what, North Phoenix?
Probably, yeah. But it
Yeah,
was
North
just
Phoenix.
after.
Yeah, I do remember that because the tournament would have been held at that church school in North
Yep.
Phoenix.
Yeah, so that's about as far back as I can date you. And I mean, had you played? Did you play in the NDL that year, 2008? Because I didn't go to that one. That was like the one that I actually missed.
2008, I actually played with. It was basically the Angels of Death. Basically,
Yeah,
we had a
me.
different team name at the time. We were the Harbingers.
Nice.
So that was 2008. I went to NDL as the Harbingers. That was my first year going to the NDL tournaments. And at the time, that was the thing. That was the big show. So
Yeah, that's where it was at. And so so going back to 2008, I mean, going pretty far back, how'd you get started in dodgeball?
well, to tell you the truth, I actually started a couple of years before that. I started playing dodgeball with some friends of mine at a church, at our church actually that we went to at the time, and we would go on Tuesdays or Thursday nights. It kind of ranged from week to week. But it got to a point where we would completely fill the gym with kids. It was like sometimes it was like 30 on 30 full basketball court dodgeball, like 20 different balls, all different sizes and shapes, and it was really just kind of a mess. And that was kind of how I saw dodgeball for the first couple of years. And then I would say probably really early 2008 was the first time that I saw an organized version of the sport.
Nice. And when you say kids, are you like actual children or like the way Steve Damon sees kids, where if you're younger than 30, you're a child?
I would say it was a little closer to the way that Steve Damon sees kids. I would say the majority of us were probably 14, 15 years old at the
Gotcha.
time. Yeah, so we were definitely kids. And we played at those churches for like 5 years, something like that. We played for a really long time.
Gotcha. So AZ Dodgeball and Phoenix Dodgeball League, they weren't the only dodgeball show in town then during this
They
time.
weren't no, because I played about 2 years of just playing at churches with my friends, and then we decided to play in a tournament at our local rec center. And we entered, and we had no idea about leagues or anything like that, and we ended up coming in second place to a team that had come from AZ Dodgeball, and they kind of introduced us to the league and kind of brought us in. So that was really how we got in. Was a group of players smashed us at the local tournament, and then said, "Hey, you guys are pretty good though. You guys should come check out our league," and we did, and it was a great time. So kept coming.
Nice. That is pretty much the exact way that I recruited Brett. We had there's like a U of A just for fun, kind of crazy tournament, and I was like, you know what? Let's just round up like some of our best dudes and show them that there's such a thing as competitive dodgeball. And somewhere in that sea of college kids, there's gonna be that one person that's gonna want it more. And sure enough, that was Brett. And so it's kind of cool to hear that that's how maybe it was Sam that ran that initiative, but kind of cool how they kind of picked you up like that.
Yeah, it was super cool. Yeah, we I remember Eric Nolan was there. He was on the team. I remember let's see, Kirsten Bell was there. It seemed like every original AZ Dodgeball player was there, basically, is what it seems like. But I remember Eric Nolan split his chin open at that tournament, and there was just a bunch of blood. That's just one of the things that I remember from that tournament.
Just
Besides
blood.
that they beat us, of course.
It's just a bloody tournament. That's all it was.
Yes, just a ton of blood. Like most dodgeball tournaments.
I mean, talk about, I don't want to say so much blood, but like Sin City, I mean, not to segue real quick, I mean, we'll get to that point later, but I don't think I've seen so many injuries in one simple weekend tournament, especially a recreational one.
Oh, this last weekend you're talking about?
Yeah, it was crazy. There's so many people that were getting like carted off and wheeled off and picked up, and
yeah, man, I heard like 2 people had to go to like the emergency room or something for injuries.
Yeah, I think Pine was one of them. I heard A. Justin cut their finger, or maybe that was somebody else. Maybe it could have been just another Justin out there, but like people going to the ER and getting all kinds of messed up. Aaron McCormick, my teammate, had a bloody nose for a little bit.
Yeah. In one of my games, actually, there was a pretty solid collision that I think that there was a female player that wasn't able to play anymore after it, and that was during one of our games.
Yeah, I watched that game. That was against you guys. It was a pop up, and she went to go get the ball, and then
was
just
it
got
Allison?
rolled on. Yeah, that was Allie.
Okay.
A female. No, these people don't have names to you anymore, do they? You're so famous now.
They're all just targets.
You'd say that. Yeah, it was bad, but well, let's go back to the funner tournament. I mean, I take that back. Sorry, Jake. Let's go back to the past. Before AZ Dodgeball came and just showed you what's up and did one of those life-changing events for you, how did you guys play dodgeball in the church? Was it just gigantic pickup games with loosely set rules, or did you have any kind of idea of what you're doing? I guess, like, how did it start? Like, why dodgeball? And I mean, that's like one of the major themes so far of this podcast is just the beginning.
Just the why.
Yeah, the why, especially the why.
Okay. Well, I was a fan of the movie, actually. I watched the movie and I thought it was hilarious. I'm not as much of a fan of the movie now, but I was a fan of the movie at the time. And me and my friends, we just watched it together, and we were like, you know what, that'd be pretty fun to do. We had some keys to a church, and we decided we were going to go play some dodgeball. So that's kind of where it started.
Nice.
But as far as like organized, not so much. It was kind of a giant mess, really. It was I think I said this earlier, it was like 20 balls on the court at a time, like
Any
like
style.
20, 30 people, 20 people on each side. And the majority of the balls that we had were stingers.
Oh man.
Yeah. So some kids were just getting brutally destroyed by what is it, like a 5-inch stinger, softball-sized hard rubber ball coming at you like 75 miles an hour. Yeah, so there was a lot of injuries back in the day, for sure. for sure.
So like the Church of Hard Knocks basically is where you got baptized in dodgeball and
Yes, I was
ease up
baptized
on the
into
puns there.
dodgeball at this church. I was.
Was this the church? Was this the church that we had a couple of Rampage practices at?
It was the church we had Rampage practices at. Yep.
Dang,
How crazy is that?
I was literally on sacred territory there.
Yep.
That's so cool. Gosh, one of these days, man, I'll have to show you where I got my dodgeball start. Like my mecca of dodgeball began in the this underground learning center.
The
all
Holy
concrete. Land. Yeah, it's like our special little secret holy land where, if I'm ever in a bind, I just think about where I started, and then it all comes back to me all esoteric like and whatnot. But that's pretty crazy, man. Because I remember playing just practice with Rampage and thinking we're gonna break something here, and you just kept assuring us, no, you're not. It's fine. And if you're able to throw freaking 70-mile-per-hour stingers and not break anything in the past, then I guess I should have taken your word for it. But that's crazy. Cool. So you played against this AZ dodgeball team, and unlike 9 out of the 10 people out there, when this happens, you're like, this is what I want to do. Kind of cool because I guess you'd already been playing, so the seed was already kind of set. What was it like going to the NDL? Afterwards, like you fast forward a little bit, playing some Grand Canyon State games, and you see the NDL in all of its glory, because that's back then it was actually doing pretty well. What were your thoughts on that?
Well, I was incredibly young. I believe the first NDL tournament I went to happened on the weekend of my 19th birthday. So I'd only been playing in leagues and stuff for maybe a year and a half, something like that. And then I went to NDL, which at the time, like I said, was kind of the show. And I'd heard stories about previous NDLs and how talented a lot of the players were, and just how it was kind of next level. And I went there, and I mean, at the time, it really didn't disappoint. I mean, I was a little frustrated about having to pay so much money, but at the time, it was an honor to go to something like that. Like, it was so cool. And that very first tournament, I fell in love with Rise of Brutality. Fell in love with that team because that was the first time I ever saw that team, and they were next level, just professionals. And that was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. And that was way back in 2008, maybe. I think it was 2008. Long time ago. And and who would have thought eventually I would be on that team? How crazy is that?
Isn't it weird? Because it was the thing that, if I recall correctly, and you can vouch for this or correct me if I'm wrong, Rampage was basically put together to beat Rise. Rampage was hopefully Arizona's answer to stopping Rise from coming to the Grand Canyon State Games and constantly taking our precious little gold medals. But they definitely set the standard for a competitive team. And so when Rampage rose up, then you get Monsoon, and you have all these other competitive teams stepping up to get on their level. It's pretty crazy that you go from there to actually playing with them now. Who would have thought, right? If you had told me back then, you'd end up on Rise, no way. Allan would never do that. He would never betray Arizona like that. And not to paint you as a traitor, but it's just funny how things turn out. Is where I'm getting at.
Yeah. It was the craziest thing. I went to this tournament. I mean, I kind of knew what to expect, but really didn't know what to expect. And I saw these guys with just the most extreme confidence in their game, just so much confidence. And they were just steamrolling every single team, and they didn't make mistakes, and they were the best with ball control, and I was like, wow, that is professional dodgeball right there. That's what that is. And the first thing I said to myself is, I want to beat these guys. I want to beat them so bad. And that just kind of lit a fire underneath me, as I wanted to beat them so bad. And I know you kind of said that Rampage was built to beat Rise, but I think at the time every team was built to beat Rise because they were the standard. And if you're not building a team to beat Rise, then who are you building a team to beat? Like, that's the number one
what are
team.
you doing?
What are you doing? So, but yeah, we had something definitely very special in Arizona at the time. Just an amazing combination of athleticism and youth, and just kind of being unknown. But then we also had those veterans who'd been playing the game for years, who kind of came over from Team Evil. I'm talking you Tucson guys, and it was just a great combination of talent and a great combination of just things that really worked together well on the court. I would say we were the first team to really challenge Rise.
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
which was huge.
I'm trying to go back to like when Evil would go up against Rise, and it was, for some reason, like, I'm drawing blanks, and I don't know if that's because it just never was good, or I lost it to memory. I might have to do some digging. And the cool thing is, like, this is on the Grand Canyon State Games website. Like, we can actually find out who won what. But I think no matter how good we did as Evil, we would just fall apart during Rise. Like, there was just something about them and their consistency and their patience that we just could not match. And whether or not, the ratio was like we would take one for every 3 or 4 they took us on. Hopefully Serge can correct me on this too, because I know he's got like records of this stuff. It just felt like we were missing something. And so when we were approached by Bill to hop on Rampage, you're looking at me, Mason, and Jackie, and then he told me like who was on the Phoenix side. I was like, okay, that sounds like that could be a good like merger. And I think that final little nudge that we lacked was when we picked up Chris, and after that, it just felt like you said it was I don't want to say it was magic, but it was cohesion. It was the most cohesive team I've ever played on, and in order to play against a team like Rise and like Doom now, and some of the teams that are have established themselves over and over again, it doesn't matter if you have 6 super talented dudes on your team. If you don't have that cohesion, if you don't have that professionalism, you're not going to last. And so it's kind of cool talking to you about it a little bit, because you can compare the cohesion that we had as Rampage, which I'm sure was not nearly as high as it could have been, to the cohesion that is on the Rise aspect. And so in a weird way, I kind of want to ask you, like, how does it compare? And can you recall like the differences or some of the variances between Rampage and Rise?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I mean, when we were stepping up and becoming a team as Rampage, we studied Rise because we knew that they were next level. We even had a play that was called the Rise play that we would run, and it was just a play that we'd seen Timmy do a bunch of times, and we started using it on people, and it was a great play. It was a fantastic play. The one thing that I do remember from playing on Rampage was, since I was kind of newer to the sport, I didn't have the ability to be as cohesive, I feel like, with the players on teams, just because I kind of still had that tunnel vision from being a new player, I think, and from wanting to step out and impress. So I kind of had a hard time being stuck to a role. So I was really just a big floater on the court. I would just try to fill gaps and holes, and I would be told every single match basically to just do whatever I felt like doing, basically, which was really nice. It was super balls. Nice. Yeah. Go get the balls in the middle. Protect our main throwers. Just go wherever you need to. Do whatever you need to do. And that was really nice to have that freedom. It was super nice to have that freedom. However, I mean, that isn't necessarily the best way to go about things. But
it works for some teams. But for teams that know what you're about, they can put an end to that real quick.
Yeah. It's definitely more strict playing on Rise, but I've learned a lot because of it. and I've won a lot because of it. So I mean, it can't be a bad thing. But me and Timmy, sometimes it can be a little hard to get our cohesiveness going, just because he is a San Diego guy and I'm an Arizona guy, and we don't have a ton of opportunities to practice together. But this last tournament, it was really funny actually. Me and him chased a player down in the center line, and both of us chested this player, and they just fell down basically on their butt. We chested them at like the exact same time, like both of us threw super hard, and then we just looked over at each other, and we both had the biggest smile on our face, and like that was like a connection moment, like unlike I'd felt with him so far. It was really kind of awesome actually, and I had to bring that up to him later, and he knew the moment I was talking about right off the bat. So it's kind of a cool thing to have that cohesiveness, considering, I mean, we've been playing together a really long time now. And we've been kind of just battling with that a little bit, I think, but I think it's getting to where it needs to be so that we can start really challenging teams again this year.
That's kind of a scary thought. Cool, but considering I'll be on the opposite court, a little scary.
Yeah,
you guys are communicating with mind bullets now is not cool.
Yeah.
It is a cool thing, though.
Yeah, it's getting to a point where we just give each other looks and we know what's up, we know what to do, and we act upon those looks, and it's definitely a cool thing, and can't wait for it to keep growing, man.
Not only that, but like just picking up on subtle cues, or you know what this person is going to do, so like that trust is there, and that again, just going back to that cohesion. You know, it's I don't want to sound cheesy, but it's a beautiful thing, really. Like when you know that your players have your back, they know how you're going to throw. You throw and they counter you, or you both know who exactly you're going to rush, and there's 3 other targets, and you pick the same one. One goes high, one goes low, and you get that sweet out. You're just like, that's awesome. I got friends, I got comrades. It's great.
Yeah.
I love seeing it.
Yeah, and being able to have that trust in each other and just know the other guy's always going to be there, it makes it so you don't feel like you have to do too much ever, you know, like, because if you're over pushing and you're trying to do too much, it's going to take you out of your game. It's going to make you not play as well as you would like to in the first place, you know. So I think just being comfortable and just not over pushing is going to be the best way to go about it, and that trust. That trust is the answer to that, I think.
For sure. I don't want to spend too much time on Rise because there's a ton to cover. But real quick, do you think when did you join Rise? 2014?
Oh gosh, 2014, I believe, was the national championship that we won, and that was my first year with Rise. I think I joined after the first round in 2014, I believe, and then we went on to win the national championship that year.
Nice. Do you think Rampage Allan, 2009 Allan, or no, Rampage started 2010. 2010 Allan, do you think 2009, 2010 Allan would have been able to hang with 2014 Rise? Or do you think you needed like time to mature and figure out more about your style and your teamwork?
I think that I had a lot to learn at that time. I mean, I'm still learning new things every single time that I play with my team or watch my team play. I learn something new. I think that the athleticism from that Allan was on a completely different level than it is nowadays. But I don't think that I would have had the ability to be as consistent as they would have liked me to be, because Rise has that consistency where it doesn't matter if they're down or they're behind. You just kind of know that they're gonna claw their way back out.
Yep, very deliberate.
They do consistently, and I think at that point in my dodgeball career, I wasn't consistent enough. I think that I was very athletic, but I was not consistent.
I used to equate you to basically watching a raptor, like put a ball in a raptor's hands and watch that thing play dodgeball, and that's for call me crazy. That's just like the visual that I got, because you're all over you were all over the place, and you get it now, but like the airtime that you get was just crazy to watch, and like it's even crazier to watch from, your left or right. And I always remember, like, I have to be within a certain wingspan of you, otherwise I'm gonna get kicked in the face, or like, I just have to be very aware of where you are. And it's kind of cool, because like you develop this sense of awareness, and you realize, okay, if I'm gonna be playing next to Mason, I need to be 3 feet to my right, because I'm gonna get clobbered if I don't. Or if I'm playing next to Justin, I might be a little bit closer, because he's not as I don't say wild, but sporadic with his movements. You, however, my God, I need clearance. Like, otherwise, it's just for my own benefit. And to see that, like, kind of, it's fun to watch. Like, it's always fun to watch. But to see it kind of like become reined in a little bit is cool. But again, it's also something that we on the opposing team aren't really fond of, because like, well, crap, Allan's playing conservatively now. Now I'm not gonna get like some weird limb that's like flying in the air. Now we have to be really careful with our balls when we're trying to get them. And it's just cool to see that progression and that development from you, and to see it progress through different perspectives, I guess. I wanted to get into Team USA. That was one of the teams that you didn't mention earlier. And that's what I was saying. Like, we got a ton to cover. Team USA. So how did that come to be?
To tell you the truth, it all started out with Rampage. Which is crazy. I mean, that's really where my traveling career started, I would say. Even, I mean, I played with one other team before that, but this was like a consistent team for me. And it all started with Rampage. And in 2009, we won the NDL tournament. And at the time, that meant that we were, I'm going to put some quotes up here, world champions. So at the time, we could call ourselves world champions, which was pretty cool. But I think that Bill Fair wanted to do a little bit more with that title than just getting that medal and putting it in our drawer. I think he wanted to travel the world with it. He wanted to show other people the talent that we had. He wanted to create opportunities for dodgeball players to meet each other and to reach out to each other. And because of that championship that we won, and that title that nowadays is such a terrible title because nowadays we know how unreal that it really was. But because of that, he started the international dodgeball play. Basically, he started the WDBF. I mean, it hadn't really been done at the time at all, really. And he started the WDBF, and in 2012 they started to put on like a World Cup event. And I didn't go to that event. However, I didn't go till 2013.
This was the New Zealand event?
No. The New Zealand event was before that. They actually they did in 2012. They did it in Malaysia, I feel like, or Singapore. I'm not exactly sure, but they actually combined the United States and the Canadian team because they didn't have enough players. So it was pretty messy at first, but it was kind of, I think, still in its planning phases. Chris Bell actually played on that team. But yeah, it was a kind of a weird combination of North America that they threw together for that tournament. And then 2013 was when it was in New Zealand, and that was my first year on the team. We got a silver medal against. We lost to Canada in the finals, which I don't believe the United States has beaten Canada at all in the WDBF tournament. So I don't feel too bad about it nowadays, knowing that information now. So.
You can deal with that. It's funny you mentioned the air quotes, the World Championship with Rampage, because I was having a conversation with Chris about this, and one of the disappointing things was that we didn't even get to play Rise for that. So never mind the fact that, world champions, because we beat some poor team out of Australia that had no idea what they're doing, and we just murdered some poor Denmark guys that, they have no idea what they're getting into with the NDL DWC. But I feel like our toughest game was against Hawaii. Like it was awesome playing
Yes.
against mixed plate crew, right? And
Yep.
then we get to hot sauce, and we just kind of steamrolled them. I mean, I remember thinking this might be tough because we don't know who these people are. And then I just watched you double catch in the air, like just left, right, boom, boom, double catch, and then you're just like, you're showing off and you're pumping your guns and whatever, as anybody should. I mean, if you're gonna do that on a high stakes tournament, that's the time to do a double catch and flaunt it. And at that point, I was like, we're gonna win. And then Mason did his behind the back throw and chested. I think Mark of all people. And
I don't think he chested him. No. He got a finger or a hand that was sticking out, and he actually shot it between his legs.
oh, okay, so that's even better. That's better.
Yeah. It wasn't behind his back. It was between his legs, and it just barely clipped Mark's hand. And just a little bit before that, like you said, I had that double catch. It was against actually Ish Blanco and Jesse Guberman. Those are the two people that I double caught, which is kind of nice. I saw Jesse this last weekend in Sin City. Hadn't seen him for a while, so it was nice to see him.
Well, as soon as that happened, I was like, well, we definitely won. But it was great. I don't want to take away from the journey it took to get there, all the smaller tournaments that we won, all the times we did face off against Rise in Grand Canyon. But there's something about that medal that's just like it's not as good as it could be. Like if Rise was there and we played against them and won, then it would have meant a lot more. And it's kind of cool. I don't want to say it's kind of cool. I take that back. It's interesting hearing your take on it, because now you have other championships that you can compare it to. You have other experiences that you can compare it to. And then it's like after the championship, a whole nother world opens, like literally the whole world opens, and there's life beyond, the NDL. You've got Elite, now you have the international stage. I just wanted to kind of comment on that and see what your thoughts were on not the validity of that championship, but just how you felt about it overall. Yeah.
So how I felt about that NDL championship with Rampage.
Yes.
It was a little bit bittersweet, I agree, because Rise of Brutality was unable to continue as Rise of Brutality that year. They were disbanded. I remember that. However, I do remember a Grand Canyon State Games several months before that tournament, that NGL tournament, that Rise of Brutality did show up to. I think that they maybe had minus one player, had another player come in and sub. I don't remember who the player was that they had, but so it was basically 100% Rise of Brutality, and we as Rampage actually beat them in that tournament. So we basically beat Rise of Brutality at that time. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't too upset that we didn't have to go through them in NDL, because I felt like we had proved ourselves that we could beat them. Not to mention, in the semifinals, we beat Mixed Plate Crew, Hawaii, who had beaten Rise of Brutality a couple of times, actually. So the fact that we beat them and we had beaten some form of Rise previous to that tournament, I felt like our medal was valid at that point.
Nice.
So, do you feel like you agree with me now? Have I persuaded you?
It's definitely got a little more.
It was valid.
It was valid, Steve. Don't you take that from me. Yeah, no, that. So, like I said, going back to that Grand Canyon State Games where we did beat Rise, that was a legit win. It was climatic. I think I even celebrated after hitting Payan. I just jumped around like a crazy kid because I knew we were gonna win, and it was exciting because we finally beat them. At that game, and then the Hawaii being as climatic and crazy as it was. Yeah, I don't want to take away from the validation of it. I wonder, what it would have felt like if we had beat Rise because of the fact that they were asked not to go. It wasn't that they got knocked out early. It was they were asked by Ed Prentice, hey, you've won too many championships. You can't come back. So, yeah, I don't want to take away from that. It was still a great win. It's still one of the medals that I actually do hold on to still, but it always makes you wonder. So my next question is, would you be down to do a grudge match?
A
Bring out
grudge match?
a grudge match just for pride one of these days. And I'm totally just BSing. I doubt this would happen, but like we get who's left of Rampage at the time, and we get who would be with Rise at the time, and we just do this. Let's just settle this real quick and find out. I think that'd be awesome, but I'm just kind of BSing.
That would be very interesting. It's kind of crazy. Not a lot of people have a chance to see him play still, but Dave Wallace is still playing, who was also on Rampage. He plays in the NDO Foam League in Arizona, and he is still balling. Like, he has really, really gotten good with these foam balls, and he's been playing for such a long time now. He's getting older too, but he's still
like crazy.
I can't believe it.
I went to an open gym last month and ran into him, you, and Santi. Just he appeared out of nowhere. I was like, this is like a Rampage reunion, man. This is awesome.
I didn't even think about that.
Still
That's
playing.
Funny.
Yeah, no, I was like, well, I'm a very sentimental person, so I'm always thinking of like all the memories, man. And yeah, it was just cool seeing that. I was like, wow, I don't feel like I'm the oldest person here anymore. I don't feel like I'm the last one, one of the originals or what have you. But yeah, it's good seeing that they're still playing. And I was talking to Chris about that grudge match idea, and it'd be fun just to see. But I shouldn't get too down on that medal then, because it was a good start. It was definitely a good feeling. It was fun winning that with you guys, and I think what I liked the most was just that Bill had given us vision. He had taken this team and he gave us a goal, and that was to win the Barnyard tournament, and then it was to win the Grand Canyon State Games, it was to win the Sandbar tournament, and it was to win the championship. And there was always something afterwards that we had a vision of, and it was kind of cool watching it blossom into Team USA and seeing all these other additional opportunities, because it didn't stop with the NDL. It kept going. And thankfully, Elite Dodgeball came to be, and so now we have another, competitive environment that we need to all aspire to be the best in, which is great. I'm so glad that came as a result, and the NDL, I'm not happy that it folded, but sometimes when a league or an organization folds, there's nothing there to replace it. So it's kind of like a scary thought. We're like, who's going to pick up the reins once something fizzles out? So
I would say my experience with Dodgeball, though, has been that the community cares about Dodgeball enough that somebody's going to pick up the reins, and that's a really cool thing. That's passion. That's dream. That's love. That's whatever you want to call it. It's awesome. It's Dodgeball. Like I remember AZ Dodgeball fell through, but then we had Phoenix Dodgeball Social League open up all of a sudden. So they took over that night and gave us all opportunities to continue playing Dodgeball on Thursday nights in Arizona, which was just super cool. So that's one example right there of somebody just kind of taking the reins when somebody else has stopped what they were doing, or when somebody else has kind of dropped the ball. And then obviously there's Elite just coming out of nowhere and being so much better than the NDL, like clearly so much better than the NDL, and they were there to pick up the reins when the NDL dropped them, and that's just the Dodgeball community, man. Like,
yeah, that's well said.
Like they're not gonna let it fall back into obscurity. I feel like there's too many people who care about it enough that it's gonna keep moving forward, which is cool.
To carry the torch. That's
yeah.
That's a good point. I mean, that's how Tucson Dodgeball ultimately got started. Was we did our little pickup games, and we had this recreational complex called a sports park, and they did some foam leagues, and they were just completely cashing in on the movie wave, and we knew that. The first season there was like 30 teams, and now the second season there's like 8. this isn't going to work. So we need to take matters into our own hands. And sounds like that's exactly what you guys did at the church. And it's like you said, the C word, man. Community is going to be what keeps this thing going now, because it's already gotten so far beyond the control of one person, or of one person's limited vision or unwillingness to collaborate. So that's one of the things I'm really excited about, what Jake Mason's doing. I know that when I was talking to Eric Tillmans, we made the comment about how, oh yeah, it seems like there's organizations popping up all over, and that's not so much the case anymore. It used to be. Man, before you came onto the scene, there were, I'll just rattle some off. There was the International Dodgeball Federation. There was the National Dodgeball Association. There was the International Dodgeball Union. There was Major League Dodgeball. It was like the battle of the acronyms, and they all fizzled out once, because their intentions weren't pure. They weren't in it for the sport. But like coming out of Kelly's LA Classic and the Sin City shootout, and just seeing what's coming together now, it's really exciting, man. It just keeps getting better and better, and it's like, I wish I had this 10 years ago when I first started, but I'll take it now, because I can still ball a little bit, and it's really exciting, which kind of is a good segue into my next question. That was, of everything that you've done so far, and we kind of just barely even tapped on Team USA. What are you most looking forward to for this year, for 2018?
For this year, I really want to I want to get Rise another national championship. I would say that right now, at this moment, that is the number one thing that I'm working towards, and that I'm thinking about, is trying to make sure that I'm healthy, and that I'm ready to help my team do what we need to do to take care of business this year. Because the last couple of years, that hasn't been okay. So that's my number one goal, is to get back on top, and then we can see after that. That's what I'm looking at right now.
What do you practice, if you don't mind my asking? Or I don't want to get into any like trade secrets, but you say you want to get ready. What is that? What's that like?
What's getting ready like? For me, getting ready is preparing myself mentally and physically, and the mental preparation part, I say, would just be come through doing a lot of reps, mainly just going to open gyms, obviously, playing in leagues when I have the opportunity. I have a netted off area like right outside my front door that's like the perfect size for dodgeball, so I can throw around in there. And I do physical therapy 3 times a week to make sure that my body is what it needs to be to get better in this sport, rather than to be degressing as I'm starting to get a little bit older.
I am so glad to hear that, man. I've seen what you've done to your body. Like every tournament, every time I'd see you, you always would walk up to me with some kind of new injury or new thing. I'm like, your body is like gonna be shot by the time you're 40.
Yeah, it's it's already
you've gotten your money's worth so far.
Level. It's already pretty next level falling apart. But I am taking steps to do what I need to do to prolong my dodgeball career. So you're going to be seeing me for years to come, I think.
That's good news. I mean, when you're young, and I'm not trying to say this is you, but when people are young, they just think they're indestructible. And I'm obviously speaking from experience, but now it's more about preservation, because things hurt a little bit more than they used to. And Sin City is a perfect example. I tried doing an Epsom salt bath Saturday night, and who knows what that prevented me from Sunday, but I felt great afterwards. And it's just funny how, as you progress, as you get older, and as you want to play more in a championship type of environment, you have to take these extra measures to take care of yourself. So things like practice, and things like conditioning, and things like endurance training for dodgeball all of a sudden aren't so crazy or so wild. back in the day, you'd think, who practices for dodgeball? That's intense. Like that's way too much for me. But now it's like you said, Rise has a professional standard, and I think that they bring that out of their players. And you guys have your own workout regimen, don't you? Or you have like not like a quota, but like a standard you guys have to meet in order to be on the team.
Yeah. Well, we have the whole team on a fitness app, so we can kind of hold each other accountable. Also, Rise has their Sunday practices that are like 3 hours long, so they're getting a lot of work in with that as well. Also, this next week we're doing a training camp where we're gonna work in 3 different types of balls. So we're gonna be playing 8.5, 7-inch foam, and no sting, and we got some people we're going to be scrimmaging against, and we're going to be working on some things, and working on our agility and things like that, and I think we're going to come up with some really cool stuff this next weekend, and I'm really excited to be able to show what we come up with come the next big tournament.
That's noted. Duly noted. Do you did you ever think when you first started playing that you would actually be going to San Diego for a training camp for dodgeball?
No, I did not. I mean, I've played on, like I said, international stages before in different countries and things like that, but so many times it was we meet up at this location across the world. We've never played together, and now we need to try to mesh in one day and beat the world, which
No small
which
feat.
obviously doesn't always go great. I mean, we did well with what we had, I think, for sure. But I think that if we had maybe a few more opportunities to get together and to have training camps and to talk things over and things like that, we probably would have fared a little bit better. But no, I didn't think that I'd ever be doing training camps or anything like that. I know this next year they're talking about doing a lot of that for the USA dodgeball team. So I'm looking forward to many training camps to come, hopefully.
I remember when I went to the first NDL DWC in 2005, I thought it doesn't get any better than this. Like, this is the best it's going to be. And then next year would get better, and 2007, so on and so forth, until 2011 where it started to tank. But it's just so funny to think about like how wrong I was to think that that was the apex of dodgeball. Like, I don't even think we're even there yet. And I think there's just so much more awesomeness that's going to come our way, and we'll be able to just experience it any way we can. It's really exciting, and I guess Sin City kind of like reignited that passion within me, even though it's like just like a fun tournament to play in. But just seeing the energy and seeing people still showing up, I'm seeing old faces too, like people I haven't seen in years, still going after it. It's exciting, man. It's such a it's a freaking gift that just keeps on giving. You know, like we have our humble beginnings, and we can pinpoint what made us think dodgeball was a good idea, and we can go back and like, man, that kid. Well, for me, that young man had no idea what was in store for him. You had no idea the people you would meet, or the experiences you would have, or the places you would go. Even, I mean, shoot, some of you guys have gone completely internationally. Like, you've gone to new countries, continents, even to go play. What is your favorite memory to date?
My favorite dodgeball memory. Huh.
And I give people some slack on this one because it springs up on you, and you know you're probably going to think of a better one down the road. But just like the first one that kind of comes to mind.
Okay. I could probably cover two pretty quickly, and because I can't pick one. I would say one of my favorite dodgeball experiences, it's actually happened a few times, has been to play on the international level, play internationally, and to see such a giant crowd, and to have such a giant crowd that's cheering for you while you're playing dodgeball, of all things, like that is a cool feeling, because I never would have thought that would be something that would happen. Like, there's been times, like, I mean, this last year in Toronto, when we played Canada in the semifinals, it was so loud in there. Like, there wasn't that many people there, but it was so loud in there that I couldn't even concentrate. I couldn't think at all. Like, I ended up stepping out of bounds because I was disoriented. Like, that was, I wasn't even frustrated about that. Like, that was so cool.
Just so in awe.
Like, yeah, for dodgeball, like, that was super cool. And then the crowd that they had in Australia was so massive. It was awesome. It was awesome, and all for dodgeball. Like, I never would have thought. So that was one of my favorite experiences, was just seeing huge crowds come for dodgeball. That was one of them, and then the other one we already kind of talked about was my double catch in the finals against Hot Sauce. Just it was a cool experience, just because the court at the time, it felt like it was like an underground court. It was like the coolest thing. Like, there were so many people around the court, and then there were people up in the stands, and it felt like you were playing underground dodgeball, and people were going nuts. And then my brother and his wife were there supporting me, and then I pulled this double catch in the finals, and as far as I know, nobody had ever seen or done a double catch at that time. And it was just super. I mean, it was a great experience. And then afterwards, like, taking pictures, like, with my family and stuff, and they, like, had me hold two balls up, and, like, it was just the corny little things like that. But that was cool to be able to kind of, like, show off in front of my family a little bit and be like, hey, look what your younger brother just did. And so that was kind of cool. I enjoyed that experience a lot. And then an even cooler thing was, I think in a 4-day period of time, I made 3 double catches.
Holy crap. So that wasn't even your first one then?
No, that was my first one. Oh, that was my first one. And then we went home, and I went to open gym, and I made 2 double catches that night.
Oh, jeez.
And it was super funny because people who had been at the tournament were talking about it, and even before they'd throw at me, I think it was Brian Arman who said, double catch this. And he threw, and somebody else threw at me, and I double caught it.
Like, okay. Next.
It was the craziest thing. And you know what? I've never made a double catch since. But I made 3 in 2 nights of playing dodgeball.
So they know it wasn't an accident. It was one of those things where it was like you meant to do that. Where, you have people that.
Like, I think I was kind of on a high as far as focus at that time. I think I was really into what I was doing, and I had my eye on the prize, and everything was just coming easy at that time, I think. And that's the way it was. I was super locked in. So hopefully I could find a way to recreate that. I mean, because that was pretty nice.
Well, double catches are happening way more frequently now than ever before, and I honestly don't think I've ever seen one up until that point. And I'm going from years of experience, and at least from the Tucson, Arizona standpoint, and to see it happening now is awesome. I mean, I forget. I'm so bad. I can't say his last name. Joe Capella.
Yeah. Got
a double catch during no sting. I mean, and there's accidental and there's intentional, and it's so cool when you know it's intentional. Like, no, that person meant to do that. Like, he didn't just bear hug these balls at the same time. And
yeah. I watched that video, and you know what? I agree. That looked very intentional to me. It looked super intentional, and I think that the recent one of Andrew Ketchum making a double catch, that one looked pretty intentional as well.
Oh yeah, that was. That he meant to do that. As much as I hate to give that to him, that was intentional. And I think speaking of, mentioned her earlier, Allie, she had a double catch in a women's tournament that was like a top 10 or 15 play on some kind of show. I don't think it was Sports Center, but seeing that like go viral and seeing that go on like an actual TV show was awesome. And again, intentional versus, oh, look what I have 2 balls all of a sudden.
Yeah,
it's great to see. But yeah, I don't think I'll ever forget yours. Like that was just one of those moments where it was like, yeah, we're gonna win now. Like there's no way you can't beat that. Like one of our guys legit double caught a ball. Like it's over. Like we're done. Let's just give us the medal and let's move on.
Oh man, it was a great moment. It was super fun for sure. And I think you mentioned earlier how I definitely kind of got a confidence afterwards and strutted around a little bit. And I mean, that was not intentional.
You just blacked out.
that just kind of happened. I don't know, when you got a pretty decent sized crowd going and you're pumped up, sometimes you do silly things.
I don't think I'd do anything differently, man. I think you're so amped up and you're just like so in the moment, and you get that huge rush of adrenaline and I did this. You're like, I'd be hard. I'd want to see the person that wouldn't react at all and just like try to brush it off like nothing happened. Like, that guy is just so excited inside. And yeah, no, I think that's the reaction to have. I said that earlier, like who wouldn't do that? And I got to find a clip of that too. I'm going to post that on the companion article. Like, oh yeah, here's a gif of Allan strutting. Like he just owned the place because he legit did. So that's a moment earned.
Oh goodness.
So real quick, I just wanted to ask just a couple like faster questions. What is your favorite ball to use? Your favorite ball type?
Depends on what I'm trying to do with the ball. I would say my top 2 would have to be 8.5 and no sting. 8.5 just because I can be more well-rounded with it. I can really hold down and press a line because I have confidence in my 8.5 game. I mean, it's a bigger ball. It's something I'm comfortable with, something I'm comfortable throwing. So I love 8.5. But then again, also I can turn and make a catch in 8.5. Like no sting, just because of the possibilities with that ball. You can make the ball do a lot of interesting things to accomplish the goal that you're looking for, and that's pretty cool. And also I like the fact that it has a little bit of a stickiness to it when it hits you, so it's still pretty catchable. Whereas with the foam ball, it's a little bit lighter. I think it's harder to catch. So that's probably the order as far as the ball types go for me. I would be 8.5, then no sting, and then foam. I love foam. I just think that it's probably one of my weaker of the 3. So that's why I'm saying foam for the third, I guess. But I think that the no sting is like a perfect in between the two, kind of. Like it's still going to bring a little bit of pain when it hits you. It still has like that contact version of dodgeball. But it's not super light, like it's got some consistency to it, so you can still catch it and make a play on it. So I would say 8.5, no sting, and then foam.
Gotcha. Yeah, the no sting, you can still, I won't say you can blast somebody, but you can still make a pretty good hit. I was playing open gym a while ago, and I got quote unquote blasted with a foam ball in the chest, and it sounded nasty, and it looked great, I'm sure, but it was like somebody just hit me with a pillow. Like that was not an impactful shot at all. Like this did not hurt. It sounded great, but did not hurt. And then like whoever threw it, and people were like cheering, they're like, "Whoa!" I can't go that high pitch. I was like, really? Like with a foam ball? Come on! Like that was nothing.
Did you feel that?
It's like, no, I actually didn't. That's why I also didn't catch it, because it just something landed on my chest and took off. Yeah. Here's the pain, brother. Oh man, I haven't brothered in a long time. Holy crap. Oh man, you bring back some good memories.
Stay focused, Steve. Stay focused.
You lost me, man. I finally broke character. What was it? It was the first Elite Nationals where like you accuse this one dude of cheating or of pinching, and you're like, yeah, his arm was still a fist when he threw it, brother, and you just like made it
as I pumped my fist.
Oh man, dang it. I might have to edit that part out.
Leave it.
People are like, what are they talking about? But
Oh man.
that was good. I appreciate that. Shoot. All right. Well, maybe that's a good time to. That's a good cue to end. But yeah. There's a ton left to cover, man, and I can't believe we've already kind of hit that hour mark. But yeah, I kind of just wanted to dance on some of the themes. You know, pre NDL, Elite, Rise, international scene. Definitely. I've said this before, and what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to give. I don't want to say equal coverage, but I want to get perspectives from all over the place. So you know, I've got. I'm looking at Seattle next, Texas. Just trying to get an idea of people's origin stories and how the story of dodgeball comes to be through various perspectives and angles. But at some point, you know, I'm going to get everybody. I definitely wanted to go into some like the nuances and like talk about like workout regimens and go into how people practice. I definitely want to find out more about your the training camp, how that goes on. I'm really excited to bring Tim on the podcast and see where that goes. But this is fun, man. I wouldn't mind doing this again if you're down.
Oh, 100%, man. It was a blast. Anytime.
Cool, man. Well, alrighty. Well, there you have it. Allan, thank you so much for being on the podcast. This is definitely one of the ones I was looking forward to very much so, mostly because you and I have a lot of history together, and it's been awesome watching you progress from some kid out of Gilbert to Team USA to on Rise to, I mean, everything pre, during, and post Rampage. It's just incredible seeing people develop over the years and being able to take a role in that is one of the greater honors that I feel I have in my career as a dodgeball player, organizer, captain, you name it. So I'll just leave it at that. Again, if you guys have any feedback, questions, concern, comments, complaints, whatever you want, send them my way. Thanks. Have a good night. Bye. Thanks. Have a good night. Bye. Come on, man. I'm gonna try that sign off one more time.